Senator Ted Cruz, how are you, my friend?
Mark, I'm doing terrific. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I want to hit a couple issues quickly with you. First of all, this isn't why we had you to begin with, but CNN is breaking a story, assuming it's accurate. I mean, I don't think Jake Tapper is a phony reporter. He's one of a few of the good ones. That dozens of CIA operatives are on the ground during the Benghazi attack, and that their efforts now, this is CNN, to keep them quiet, to polygraph them rather frequently. And I don't understand, Senator, why we can't get a select committee going, if not in the Senate, in the House. I get the Senate, but in the House, to once and for all get to the bottom of this, because this, if true, is stunning.
Yep. Mark, you're absolutely right, and you're right in terms of the approach the House needs to take. I think they need to appoint two select committees, one to investigate Benghazi and one to investigate the IRS.
Exactly.
And the reason which you understand and which hopefully our House Republicans will grow to understand is that it needs to follow the Watergate model. A select committee, most critically, has a chief counsel who's an experienced prosecutor who can go systematically through the evidence, uncover the evidence, get the facts, and find out what happens. If you send it to an ordinary committee, you have a whole series of elected politicians who they're trying to do a good job, but they often give a series of unrelated 5-minute speeches and they're done. And you can't systematically move through the evidence unless you have an experienced prosecutor systematically uncovering the evidence and following the sources and leads, whatever directions they may take.
Senator, I've been pushing this for 2 months in the Benghazi matter. For whenever the IRS matter started, you cannot have 5 committees, split resources, each committee with 14 different things they're overseeing. It's just impossible to get to the bottom of it. And this proves it. CNN broke this story, not any committee.
Well, and Mark, let me give 2 examples of what a chief prosecutor in a select committee would do. Number one, in Benghazi, we have heard testimony now from the Deputy Chief of Mission, a career for Foreign Service officer, that Hillary Clinton's top political operative came and ordered him to be quiet, tried to muzzle him, ordered him not to talk to members of Congress, not to talk to the press, to cover up the facts of what occurred. Now, that's astonishing to have the chief political operative for Hillary Clinton doing that. A chief counsel of a select committee would bring Cheryl Mills before the committee and ask, okay, what other career Foreign Service officers did you try to close their mouths? Who did you instruct to stay silent? Who did you meet with? What conversations did you have? And then you'd systematically bring them one at a time, say, what were you told? What were you told? What were you told to cover up? Was it a cover up? I mean, you don't put words in their mouth. You follow the facts. Likewise, on the IRS, we have the logs that indicate the head of the IRS visited the White House 157 times. The comparable period of time under the Bush White House, the head of the IRS went there once. I find that remarkable. And a chief prosecutor would bring that head of the IRS in front of the committee and say, we're going to walk through each of these 157 times. On X date, who did you meet with? What was the topic of conversation? Did it come up that you're directly targeting these Tea Party groups and these conservative groups and these pro-life groups and these pro-Israel groups, and would walk through systematically? You've got senior political aides of the White House going on television saying, oh, I was in the meetings, and that doesn't raise flags because you don't have a structural situation to investigate the facts. So, Mark, as usual, you're absolutely right.
Now, Senator Cruz, but this information about, if accurate, by CNN, Tapper and Drew Griffin, the reporter, of dozens of CIA operatives on the ground when we were under attack.
Mm-hmm.
This is remarkable, is it not?
It is, and it leads to an obvious question of where were they, what were they doing, and what did they do during the attack when our men were taking incoming fire? Did we abandon our men on the battlefield? One of the great traditions of the American military is we don't leave our men behind. I mean, we had testimony from the Deputy Chief of Mission. Some of the most poignant testimony in front of the House was when he talked about how a officer in the military was frustrated at being ordered to stand down and claimed it was the first time he'd seen diplomatic staff that were more willing to defend us than the military was. I mean, that was extraordinary testimony. And
that's always been the question, why the military was called off. Always been the question, hasn't it?
And we won't find out the answer unless there is systematic, careful inquiry. And I think that can only happen in a select committee with a professional prosecutor as chief counsel who is fair, impartial, diligent, and follows the leads systematically and carefully.